Hey everyone, I want to talk all about disputing mistakes. These are questions I'm asked on coaching calls and the webinar services and just a lot of stuff I see on our Facebook group. If you're not a member of that, please join OCD Recovery. It's the fastest growing group on Facebook when it comes to OCD and anxiety-based disorders. We're coming up with 18,500 people. It's moderated, so there's a lot of watching out for reassurance. But we're obviously very, aware that a lot of people just don't know what they're doing in the beginning. So we help educate them in the process by giving them reasons on why this stuff is reassurance seeking. So I think a lot of the questions that I'm about to answer, which I have a few of them in my mind right now, the common ones, are coming from obviously the fear based around not recovering or the fear of getting something wrong. So before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. Let me know what you think about this. If you have any other questions, please write it down below and I'll answer that as soon as I can. And if you're interested in our coaching and webinar services, where we can help you one-on-one how to break down your fears, show you through the exercises, and then kind of, give you pointers here and there, please email us at phil@ocdrecovery.com and we will get back to you in a timely fashion because Phil's the man and that's what he does. So, this is a cup I haven't used in a while. This is Erica's cup, by the way. Due to unfortunate circumstances, I'm awake. She's not a big fan when I wake her up at 4:50 in the morning like I did today. So, it's the way it goes, you know what I mean? So let's take a look at the actual fear that drives the majority of these questions. Now, is there a genuine reason why people ask? Of course. They want to know what to do. They're suffering. They got chronic shame, chronic guilt, chronic anxiety simmering away in the background. And they want to know, how can I get myself better? Am I going to do something wrong? But a lot of these questions come from a fear response after they're asked one or two times. The repetitiveness, the frequency, how they're asking. As I always say, OCD and anxiety sufferers are very sneaky about the way they ask for reassurance. They're always thinking, I'm going to ask this in a certain way, and then they're going to give me the answer I want, and they just kind of like tiptoe around, and that doesn't do us any good. So it's so important to cover that one particular aspect. So question number one. How many times should I be disputing on paper? Now, can you recover from OCD without disputing on paper? 100%. Absolutely. But there's some great applicability for building discipline and habits when it comes to the beginning areas of the journey when you're first coming in and you're buying the books on the reading list and OCDrecovery.com underneath the free resource tab if you're looking for those. So disputing on paper helps instill the belief that I'm going to take it seriously. Yes, it's hard for me to concentrate. Yes, I have chronic anxiety. Yes, I have all these symptoms blasting away, but I'm going to take time to actually make this happen by sitting down for 15 to 20 minutes a day and making it work. Now, that's not a forever tool. I haven't pulled out disputing paper in a couple of years. Maybe here and there, little things in my life, but I haven't made it a habit in a very long time because I'm at a point in my recovery where I can look at things intuitively. And if I became compulsive about it in my mind, and this is why we have people do it on paper, then the rest of the day they're working on compulsions and avoidance behaviors, and they're just allowing that rumination to just go, 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 go. And they're not trying to stop rumination primarily. As I always talk about ad nauseum, that trying to stop all rumination is one of the largest compulsions that's coming from the fear of not being present. You're going to ruminate. It's very automatic. Just like you're going to cough when you're sick, you're not going to be able to bring down all the rumination until that fear cycle comes down, and then that starts to dissipate over time. So that's very important. So disputing on paper, the recommendations I give, 15 to 20 minutes, 4 or 5 days a week, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. That way they're not blasting on it, 5 days for months and months at a time. They have to learn how to kind of get intuitively. Maybe I am doing this a little bit too much and they pull back. Maybe I'm not doing it enough and they go forward. Not having an answer to all your questions and figuring it out on yourself is a key part. Question number 2. Do I write the same thing over and over and over again? Okay. Again, this is coming from the fear of not getting it into your head, the fear of forgetting something. Am I not going to understand it properly? Is it going to sink into my consciousness? So I tell people there's no rules with this. You could do it however you want. Okay, you can dispute the same thing 5 days in a row. You could use things that aren't even involved in your OCD and go from there. But overall, as long as you're making progress towards breaking down your fears, that is what matters. Okay, again, sitting with the uncertainty. Question number 3, time limit. If you're going more than 30 minutes, in my opinion, it's not really necessary. But let's say I give someone the homework assignment to do exercise first book, Stubbornly Refuse, exercise 1 on Monday, exercise 2 on Tuesday, exercise 3 on Wednesday, etc., Monday through Friday until they're all done. It's about 18 exercises or so. If it takes you 12 minutes, it takes you 12 minutes. If it takes you 30 minutes and you're at the time limit, turn it off, come back to it tomorrow. You have to get comfortable with not finishing things. That's a very, very important thing to get comfortable with, because OCD sufferers are very, very obsessed with having it when they're doing it, and when they're in the mode of disputing, they're like, I have to have it all done now. That's a problem. So that's the third question. Okay, the fourth one. How long will this take for it to become a primary perspective? There's no right answer to that question. It's going to take as long as it's going to take. Okay, it's that simple. There's no deadlines on this. Anyone who's giving you deadlines when it comes to OCD and anxiety recovery, they're doing you a major disservice. It just kind of goes how it goes, and that's it. And that's the way it is. There's no other way around it. It's going to take time to really get underneath this. So use it sparingly, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 15, 20 minutes a day. Take your time, really go through it, and have a think about this stuff. Really you don't need to half-ass it, which many of you will, because we're master procrastinators, but that's the way that goes. And the last question I want to cover is probably the most important one. And that is, I don't know if this is so much a question as it is more of a principle. I'll cover it anyway. You're not going to have perspective shifts more than likely when you're doing your disputing. When you're doing your disputing on paper, you're setting yourself up for future perspective shifts at random times throughout their day. They really come at randomized times. I always tell people, when you're training for the Olympics, you're not seeing the fruits of winning the Olympics as you're training. You're hoping and prepping to see some sort of fruition from winning the Olympics, gold, silver, bronze 4 years from now during the regular Olympics or Winter Olympics, et cetera, et cetera. It's the same principle. Not saying in the 4-year perspective, but I'm saying that it takes time to really have those perspectives become a primary perspective, and they're not going to happen when you're disputing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this short little video that cleared up some of the misconceptions. Just so you know, I have a list here with some dates and stuff I'm going to be covering, so I want to give you a background on that. Why OCD is so good at mimicking, feeling as real as it can get. Health compulsions based around sleep hygiene, exercise, supplements. That needs a lot of covering. Yoga, mindfulness retreats. Another big video on religious OCD and why you can recover while following religious principles. Self-reassurance. And then one of my favorite ones, which I just wrote down, is allowing yourself to spiral. So that's the next video for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them written down. I'm always taking suggestions. If they're too specific, it's hard to cover that, but I usually throw that stuff in other videos. But I do take people's consideration. As you know, I go through and answer as many comments as I can. Thank you so much for watching this video. Remember, there's a lot of uncertainty here. You're going to have to learn to accept that you could be doing something wrong. You could be stunting your progress for a little bit, but you can go back and change that. Thank you so much for watching this. And as always, have a great day.